know what time it is.
Oh, it's that time again.
It is episode 155.
One double nickels.
That's right.
At
Of the EriDan Film
5:00.
Festival. The time where we gather with friends and family to discuss the best in cinema and entertainment.
And look at the reflection in your glasses tonight.
I know. I get a lot. It's bad. It's bad. You know, I had to
You gotta get that lights up higher.
I just need to put contacts in, but I haven't.
Or that too.
So I can just do this and then just not see anybody or anything.
No, that's not good.
It's episode blah. But that's okay too. It's a double feature.
It is a double feature. And if you want to be
with a couple of very reclusive, unknown actors and actresses in the movies we're talking
couple
about.
independent films.
People who are so underpaid for their roles in these very small budget films.
Yes.
So it's nice that we're giving these people the spotlight for anything. I think that's nice.
Yes. And if you do want to be a guest, it's very easy. You just go to EriDanLive.com. That's EriDanLive.com.
So you're saying that if I'm at home,
if you're at home or in your car,
I'm hanging out in my romper, maybe my onesie, and I'm thinking, hey, I got some opinions that I'd like to share about Benjamin Button or The Departed. And I want to be heard. You're saying that I just have to go to EriDanLive.com and I can speak my mind freely and not be judged for my input. Everything except for that last part.
Yes, all of that and then some more.
All right, perfect. All right, well, let's judge some people.
All right, bring in the judge.
All right,
Madam Librarian.
Well, it's the library, not really a library. You're welcome.
It's Stacy.
Hello.
Hello. How are you? You're all alone on the couch.
I'm all
Look at
alone.
that big couch, and it's just you. You
No,
can stretch
it's
out.
not-
You could lay down. You could pull a Brian. You could lay down and hold your phone right above your head.
Yeah, I would just lay like this and look
All
at
right.
you sideways. I've done that before, but I
Have
feel
you?
really bad.
Sleep with the fishes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Forget about it.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm by myself because Wade is at a dinner for the group that he went to Africa with. So, and Reagan is on her way home from work, I believe. So
Very nice.
Well, there we go.
So he's with better company. Is what you're saying. No, they're
I didn't say that. I did not say that.
You didn't
You
have.
said
to.
that.
Speaking of better company. It's Dave.
So we can't do the Orson Bean never got a dinner bit with Wade now, huh?
Oh man, I don't even know what that is.
I don't either.
You don't remember the old Dean Martin celebrity roast?
Oh yeah.
And he always did the, here we're giving this guy a dinner. Leonardo da Vinci, and he'd always tell some Leonardo da Vinci joke. Never got a dinner, and he would just do a whole riff about never got a dinner. And then, this guy, this schmuck, gets a dinner.
Wow.
Yeah, but he never got a dinner.
I
Yeah,
missed that.
very much had the
1000%.
cadence down,
That
yep.
sounds like way before my time.
It was 70s.
It was stuff I watched because I was a nerd.
Adam's here briefly in the cell phone lot.
Oh, there we
Hey.
go. Well, that's exciting.
And R.I.P. Orson Bean, tragic death.
Wow.
Well, most deaths are tragic. Just saying.
Wow, it depends.
Present for something.
Yeah.
For somebody.
Mm.
Speaking of somebody,
One ring to rule the moon. One ring to fight.
It's Brittany.
it is Brittany.
Speaking of someone, I'll take it.
Yeah, take it. I say that's as nice as we get.
That's all right. We'll take it.
Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. So Dan's mother
My mom picked two movies
I know. So
2 weeks ago.
Relatively well-known movies. So no P.S. Your cat is dead happening here. These are
I was
two
hoping that's what she would pick.
Eventually.
I'm in the credits
I know.
and the DVD commentary.
So I
made the
believe
commentary.
you stated that your mother would like us to discuss Benjamin Button at first.
Benjamin Button would be the one she would discuss first because
Well,
it's
but
not as violent.
That's where we should begin, don't you think? Sure, of course we do. All right, here it is, the curious case of Benjamin Button from 2008, starring Brad Pitt, Kate Blanchett, and some other people. David Fincher directed this sucker for $150 million. Raked in $336 million. The audience giving it an 80%, and the critics.
But look at the writing staff.
What was that?
Go back to the writing staff.
You want to talk about the writing staff a little bit? Wrong movie. So here we go. Eric Roth, Robin Swicord, and F. Scott Fitzgerald. And if you only had me say that so that you could make an F. Scott Fitzgerald joke.
No, that was in the movie Ted. I won't make fun of Scott Fitzgerald. He did do that joke. He goes, "What do you got with what's wrong with Scott Fitzgerald? You keep saying F him." And that was Mark Wahlberg, so it ties into the next movie. But yes, this was, as I believe Dave mentioned ahead of time, this was a short story.
Yes.
Yeah.
At one point.
A 40-page short story made into a 2-hour and 45-minute movie.
Yes, absolutely. Maybe attempting to be a little Forrest Gumpy.
Oh, it had
Yes,
Forrest
I
Gump
thought so.
stamped all over it. It was so much trying to be Forrest Gump.
You get whips of, and a little bit of Princess Bride if you think about it.
I actually made an entire list of similarities between Forrest Gump and this movie, where it's so obviously trying to be that movie.
They were. We could say they were inspired.
Hummingbird instead of a feather, narrated by the protagonist. There's just a whole series of things.
Oh yeah,
Got to meet Nixon again.
Yes,
yeah.
I mean, if you're going to age backwards, don't you want to turn into Brad Pitt?
I was gonna say that's not a bad way to go. I love the moment. When she looks at him and goes, "You're perfect."
I loved watching the transition between when did they go from puppet to Brad Pitt.
Oh my gosh.
That original puppet wasn't great.
Little Yoda happened there.
It was a puppet. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
My God. It was creepy. That was hard to watch. But like my screen was like this big at that point when I was watching the beginning. I'm like, I'm at work. Didn't
yeah.
want to be noticed.
Fully immersed in the movie watching experience.
I think the owner of Buttons needs better marketing, though. That's really pretty awful.
Yeah.
Buttons, yes.
Buttons. Right up there with Ryder. That's a whole other story.
Adam does say the movie was a little too long, which we all agree with. There are some pretty slow parts, and there are parts of the movie he didn't get.
Well, I'm curious which ones they were.
Yeah, I'm curious what he didn't get. It's not an action-packed movie, but I do think it's a very well titled movie because the whole thing is just you're kind of watching it, being like, I'm curious what comes next.
Yeah,
I'm just curious. I'm curious how this is going to end.
Yeah,
I'm curious. How this is going to, it's a very, I find the movie very engrossing. I had seen it once before, but it had been quite a while. And I do find it, as I said, while, if you're a little tired, you might find yourself asleep halfway through it, which my wife did.
Yeah.
But I think the performances are excellent in this film. I think it handles the periods really well. I think the special effects, for me at least, held up pretty well, considering all the things they were trying to do.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge Brad Pitt fan, but I thought he did very well in this.
Yeah, I thought so too. The special effects for me with the prosthetic face stuff with Mr. Button was horrible, and it reminded me of the Dick Tracy movie.
Brad Pitt stated, this was in the trivia, that it took 5 hours a day to do his makeup.
I know.
And that was
when he was young.
Yes, that's to make him look like Brad Pitt.
Right.
Wow.
So Adam he just wasn't getting the whole age in reverse thing.
Well, that's actually the movie, though. If you don't get, that's if you take that out.
Back to the Future, but I didn't get the time travel stuff. Like,
Can't really help you there.
Lost me 100%. That's kind of that is the point.
It was creepy. It was creepy.
You were hoping for some logical, randomly scientific information
explanation,
happening with him. Then no, you were going to be disappointed. Or
it was weird that at the end during the flood, the clock was still running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was slightly odd.
Yeah. What meaning did that have? So that was curious.
You're
Rebecca,
curious.
that's-
You see,
that's a
Rebecca,
good
I agree
comment.
with Rebecca, right? I thought the effects, were pretty impressive. What I thought was interesting is, as I thought they did such a great job making people look older. I think the job they did with Kate
Yes.
Blanchett with her stuff,
hmm
Well, it's certainly better than the de-aging they're doing to Harrison Ford these days.
yeah. Well, and that's a whole different process, right? That's a whole different the way they're doing this is crazy.
I like this movie. The length of it was crazy. I mean, like I said, I started at work, got home, and finished it here, and it took forever here. It was like I hadn't even started it. It just kept going on and on. And I had it figured out that the daughter was his when they showed his mother's picture on the wall. I went, oh, look, there she is. Julia Ormond.
Aren't you clever?
Yeah, I'm like, did anybody else catch that? Because there she is.
No, I was too distracted by the fact that she was dressed like Han Solo. Nobody else, really?
Didn't see it. Sorry.
No.
I missed it.
I do think they needed to trim at least half an hour, though.
This is one
Yeah.
like the first time I ever saw this, like I remember really enjoying it, and like I still did, but like it definitely is just too long. I don't know, like if my attention span was better then and it's worse now, having a
It could
kid
be.
that doesn't
Yes.
focus on anything for more than 10 seconds, but like
Yes.
it was so good, but it was just too much, I think.
And,
There's a
and I
lot
also admit
I
that
do
part of my dislike of the length has nothing to do with the movie. It's the fact that there were two long movies together. And so trying to find the time to watch both of them made them both seem longer.
Yeah. Trying to watch them both today.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
some
just-
people do
that's
their
just
homework a
more time,
little
man.
earlier than others. So the short story was by F. Scott Fitzgerald from 1922, I believe, and it was based on a comment that Mark Twain had made, which was he said the best part of life was from the beginning, and the worst part was the end.
Yes, I don't know if that was ever confirmed to be firsthand from Fitzgerald, but that has been espoused as the inspiration for it.
Interesting. I like the concept of it. I liked thinking about that, but I also I kept thinking, is she going to stay with him? What's going to happen? This is creepy.
My
And
wife was
then-
very unhappy when he left. My
Yeah.
wife was really not happy when he left. Like, hey,
But
you
I
can
understood
stick around
that
for
they-
another 5 years or so and help out.
exactly. But he was aging backwards, and then when she saw him when he was younger, when he showed up,
Well-
and she's a 13-year-old daughter, and he looks 18. She's like, "Yeah, I couldn't have raised you both."
Well, and you also heard what he said. He was leaving before his daughter would remember him.
Yes. Oh, it was terrible. It was sad.
It's
Sad.
a tearjerker.
I didn't cry. I didn't feel that. I was just like, "Oh, that's
Yeah.
terrible." But
I
then,
never cried.
no,
Ever?
No.
Wow.
No.
You're a cold,
I throw
cold
up
man.
all the time, but I never cried.
See, I cry all the time. I never throw up.
I do both all the time.
Wow.
Oh man,
It's wonderful.
I do them at the same time, actually. I cry. as
Not
I
too.
do them. Yeah. It's efficient.
it's efficient.
It is efficient. It is.
I was curious because this was my first time seeing it. I was curious
Curious.
how they would handle his train, because you knew how it would go. Once you know the concept of it, you sort of know how it's going to go from him going old to middle-aged to teenager. But then you wonder how they handle the transition into young childhood and infancy. How is that going to go? I thought they did reasonably well.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it left so much unanswered. Like, so she moves back into the house because she's aged. They're
Right.
about that. She's 6 years younger than him in birth years, and so that's natural. But then he's this little boy who doesn't remember anything, and
Yeah.
then he's a baby in her arms and dies in 1968. Nobody came to find out what happened to this baby. I mean, it was just, nobody probably knew he was there, but it was just so odd to me. And that people knew that he was aging backwards in that house. Like,
Well, his sister did. That's
Yeah.
why he stayed there. His sister knew.
that's right. Okay.
Right.
So it was his sister, but other people then knew. Like Daisy knew, obviously, when she was a girl.
Well, yeah, Daisy knew.
Yeah.
Daisy Dukes.
And Daisy was kind of a jerk growing up. She was an awfully selfish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she was a kid. I
I
mean,
didn't see that when she was younger, but when she was a ballerina, yeah.
There's a little like Han Solo. This is all I'm
Oh,
saying.
okay,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
I see it now that you. Yeah, now that you said it, I see it.
I was thinking in the picture, not
Let's play.
that
No.
character. Oh my god.
So if you want the I guess the sad story, if there's a sad story, I'm trying to think of a good word to say about this. But the day that screenwriter Eric Roth found out that he was nominated for the Golden Globe, he also found out that his entire retirement fund had been wiped out by Bernie Madoff.
Oh my god.
What?
So I was like, yay! Oh,
Bernie.
I think my
Madoff
favorite
with his
line
money.
in it was when Queenie is talking about the baby and goes, talking about what she said it was her sister's baby or something like that.
Yeah.
You go, come out white.
There was a problem, came out white.
Yeah.
Something like that. Oh, when her husband stepped on him. Oh my god. Freaked out.
Or when Daisy goes, sleep with me, he goes, absolutely.
First of all, I thought that was touching, not like I liked that part.
I thought for sure when he took the baby, he was just going to toss it over the bridge.
I know.
At the
Well,
opening
that was
scene.
the point, and then the
I know.
comment
A short movie.
but I think he was about to. Yeah.
That would then it would have been the right length.
Ouch.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. 5 minutes.
No, I do agree. I think this movie would benefit greatly from a director's cut the other way. That was a little tighter because there are great moments, but it does get to the point where you're like, oh wow, I'm still watching the same movie.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, like I say about a lot of these movies, and I'll say about the next one, there's no outtakes. There's no deleted
They left
scenes.
nothing behind.
It's all there.
It's in there.
I mean, Scorsese's known for that.
So what awards
the
did
next
this
movie.
movie win? This I remember this being.
It won a few, I think. Did it
I
not?
thought it was a pretty big deal.
Let me see: best production design, makeup and hair, BET Award for best actress, Saturn Award for supporting actress. So it did win a couple of academies for special effects and hair, basically, and then a few for the acting. So yeah, it did it. I know it was up for a lot. It was nominated. It was an honor just to be nominated for Benjamin Button.
It was a stellar cast. I mean,
Mhm.
Hence
Both
the
movies.
Sweeney was excellent. Ali, they're just a stellar cast, and not to mention Pitt and Blanchett.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of familiar names in that one.
Yeah.
I did like that the woman he had the affair with.
Tilda Swinton.
Yeah. I liked that she swam the English Channel later. I loved that. That's when I went, oh my God, it's Forrest Gump.
Yeah, that was another Forrest Gump moment.
Yeah, that's when I found it just clicked in my brain. I'm like, oh, okay. That's funny. So
I think it was the first hummingbird scene when the captain died that did it for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it does suffer a little bit from having such high aspirations.
imposter syndrome.
Do you know that the hummingbird is the only bird in the world that can fly backwards?
Really?
I did
Wow.
not.
That's
That's
pretty
why it
cool.
was-
Big Bird.
Big Bird can't fly.
Yeah, but he can moonwalk, so that's close.
Can
It
he?
looks like he's flying backwards.
It does look like he's flying.
He can moonfly, it's called.
Oh,
Oh,
Well,
my.
we're at the 20-minute mark. We should score this one because we do have a double feature.
all right. Let's. Oh wait, there's a button. Hold on, wait. I forgot about the button. Hold on. Let's do
The EriDan rating bot 6000. EriDan rating 6000. EriDan now activated.
Wow, that was loud.
Maybe you should turn your computer down.
Yeah, maybe you're cranking up.
Yes. So I will tell my mother she needs to send us her score.
Oh yes, definitely want to hear what her
I wanna hear her
reaction
comment.
is after.
The comment she did send me was She did love it.
Oh, good.
And her TV, we have to work on the Netflix thing. That's just different.
work on the Netflix thing.
Yeah, this whole household crap that they're doing now. Oh, here we go. I cried at the end when she held him in his arms and he died. I loved it, even if it was long. 95.
Mhm.
Awesome.
Yeah. So now we'll go around the horn, as they say, and we'll start with Stacy.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, even though it was long, it was still well made. It's based on literature, so cool.
Go lit.
Yeah. I loved the dancing scenes, the ballerina. She was fantastic. I thought that was beautiful. And I'm not usually a big fan of that kind of stuff too much, so that was really nice. It was hard because I watched it choppily since I started it at work, and I was getting interrupted, and people were like, "Oh, hey, Miss Stacy." Oh, okay, yeah, that was hard. So I'd like to watch it again, actually, but my ratings from seeing it today, it's higher than I thought it would be, and I think I'm going to give it an 88.
All right. Wow.
88.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Brittany.
I think the same thing, kind of like as Stacy. I got interrupted trying to watch it. And then I feel like it was hard for me because like things that were happening in it, that even though they were, I don't know, like there was the what she said, who was it? Mrs. Meeple, when she talks about like we're meant to lose the people we love. Like how else would we know? Like, and so not like, so today's my grandpa's birthday. So just, I don't know, just everything like this week, like things that didn't necessarily have to do with the movie. Like it just was like extremely extra emotional for me in ways that it probably wouldn't have been if I had watched it at a different week.
Right.
Like different parts of the movie were hitting me differently. And it was good. It was longer than I remember. I think I will go with an 83.
Nice.
An 83. All right. Dave.
Yeah, like I said, this was my first time. I won't say it was a movie I've avoided. That would be way too strong. It's a movie I've never had any interest in watching. So I do thank your mom, Dan, because this is a movie that I'm glad I watched, and I probably wouldn't have watched it without this. It was overly long, but the performances were very good. It didn't. I don't think it affected me as much as it did some people. Just, I don't know. It didn't really move me that much. I enjoyed it and I respected it, and I thought it was very skillfully made, but it never really moved me in the way that a really top-notch movie was, which is, I think, why for a movie that's trying to do what this one's doing. Forrest Gump, for example, did what this is trying to do better.
Yeah.
And so I give it a good score, but it's not going to be, top of the line or anything. So it's a solid 80.
Yeah.
All right. I've got some scores from the Peanut Gallery. I got a text from Scott.
Oh.
Scott gives Benjamin Button an 84.
Mm-hmm.
Adam gives Benjamin Button. Anybody want to guess?
50.
32.
47.
41.
Dave?
50.
Dave is the close without going over. 51.
Wow.
Nice.
That's a high praise from
That's
Adam.
very high praise from Adam.
I was
This
basing
is-
that on the fact that his comments weren't really ripping it apart. So
True.
Yes.
True.
Rebecca in the comments says, "Good movie, good storytelling, even hard to follow. I just didn't understand the long distance relationship between Daisy and Benjamin, but it doesn't hurt her score. 90."
Wow. Nice.
And I have to say,
Rebecca.
I saw this movie, I believe, in the theaters originally,
Oh.
and I didn't realize it was that long either. But the acting, great. I think the effects were great, and I liked it, and so I'm glad it was selected. I don't know what that noise was. Eric, it sounds like he let out some air or something.
What was that?
Did anybody else hear that noise?
Yes, I did.
Did
It was
you hear-
either-
was that me?
I don't know.
We don't.
Oh, that was
It was much gassier.
It sounded like Eric went.
It sounded like your chair let out. Like I was
Did I have
expecting you
did I
to
have a
suddenly
leak?
do this.
Did I have
Whoops.
a leak? Did I
Yeah.
Or okay.
Now my chair's too low. Hold on. There we go. It's definitely an A movie. I'm going to give it a 91.
Wow, nice.
And then we go to Eric.
Did I tell you that I was struck by lightning 8 times? Yeah, this is definitely a movie that is worth watching. It is an investment in time.
Yeah.
Is it worth rewatching? Is a question I have, right? Because it is long. I probably would not have watched it again. So I am thankful that this came up as a suggestion as well, because I really did enjoy rewatching it, and I probably wouldn't have on my own. I probably won't again on my own, just because of the length and because it is. It's like sleepy time tea. It's good, but it is. There's just a lot of talking. No, it's but I do think it's excellent, and I think if you haven't ever watched it, you should absolutely take the time to watch it. For me, will it be one of my top 10 movies of all time? Probably not, because it is trying to take that big swing, and I don't think it misses, but I think maybe it got a solid, double. There, look at me with a baseball analogy for Benjamin.
Sports.
Took a big swing and got a solid touchdown.
It is my solid touchdown. I feel like they tossed it to the hoop and they scored.
Solid 2 under par. Yes,
2 under par. That's right, exactly right. So all of that to justify an 81. I thought it was really good though. So there you go.
Did anybody besides me have a Quado moment with the puppet at the beginning? Remember Quado from Total Recall?
No.
Oh
no.
the face that the guy had in his chest.
yeah.
Ouch.
Now I can't get that out of my head.
The baby button is a little much. I get what you're saying. But they had to, I thought they did a really good, because they could have just like skipped over some parts, and not let you see exactly the giant wrinkled old baby button. I was kind of glad they did.
When the daughter was born and the nurse comes out and said, they're both healthy, you can go on in. Go in, and it's this little tiny old lady.
Excellent. Oh my goodness. All right. Well,
now we go to movie number 2.
I also think the clock thing was totally throwaway. It didn't really add to the movie in any way.
Which part?
The clock.
I do agree, and I think this is to Adam's point, where I think it adds a level of confusion. Like, is it somehow tied to the clock? Is the clock what's making this happen? Yes. Right. And I agree that it adds a level of confusion that wasn't necessary. And again, I think it was trying to be a little mystical, magical, like other.
It might have made more sense in the book. Who knows?
This is true. Get the book, Stacy. That's your job. All right, let's go. The Departed. Leonardo DiCaprio, Matt Damon, Jack Nicholson, Mark Wahlberg, Martin Sheen, Ray Winstone. Oh my gosh, this movie keeps giving you all
Alec Baldwin,
amazing male actors. Directed by Morton
Downey Jr.
Morton Scorsese. Written by, who cares? You can read. $90 million on this $291 million grossing movie. The critics at a 91, the audience at a 94. Oh my goodness, the audience loves these men. There's so many men being manly.
Oh yeah, real manly.
We're so tough. We're killing people. We're rough.
Well, going to my mom's comments first.
Oh yeah, let's go in.
She said that she constantly got DiCaprio and Damon mixed up during the movie, which I also
you really do have to pay attention to that.
When you're first watching, you go, "Oh wait, did this just switch to Leo?" I thought that. Oh wait, this is Matt. Oh wait, now Mark Wahlberg's in it. It's like 3 actors who kind of can get confused but they're all Bostonian type, actors. So,
is it appropriate to do that accent? I'm sorry, it feels a little offensive.
Well, Matt Damon's from Boston, and so is Mark Wahlberg. So
yeah.
Mark Wahlberg's birthday is today.
Oh, we should have
Oh,
Wahlburgers for
wow.
dinner.
Oh.
I mean, and have, you've got Martin Sheen. You've got, I mean, it really was an all-star cast.
Mhm.
Lots of Oscar nominations and a few wins.
Yeah.
Yeah, one
I mean,
of
it's
my I
Alec
like the movie.
Baldwin. I mean, come on, Stacy.
One of my problems with this movie, and it's a minor problem because I try not to, again, we've discussed this before, art versus personal life.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot stand Mark Wahlberg because of his violent history, his racist violent history. Is just, the guy's basically a scumbag. Sorry.
Well, what about the Funky Bunch? Are you really
He's had
gonna
multiple racist attacks on minorities, and so
But Donnie's okay.
You can't
Donnie's fine.
unfairly
Donnie
judge-
Wahlberg. Look at Stacy.
I mean, he beat up a guy with a bat. I mean, come on.
In the movie, I don't remember that scene.
No, in real life, and a Vietnamese convenience store owner.
Wow.
Wow.
See, this is stuff I don't remember because
That's
I
when you
never
see
cared.
that what happened when you roll with the
about him.
Funky Bunch.
Well, it was
that-
all over the news a few years ago because he was trying to get a pardon from the governor of Massachusetts, and
Oh.
there were a lot of people objecting to it because he'd never really apologized, even.
Ah,
True. I don't like him because I don't like his acting. I think he's terrible, but that's.
I think he's good in this, but it's a very narrow role. He's playing a smart mouth Bostonian. I think he can
Yeah.
handle that.
yeah.
Yeah, but I just don't. Every time I heard
Mm.
his voice in this movie, in the 45 minutes I watched it, I was like, man. I was cringing the whole time he talked. I couldn't stand him because it was just so fake. It
You
was
are
like,
super-
hey, we're going to pretend we're doing this. We're these horrible people in this movie. So, and he just sounded like he was just faking, like he was just joking around. So I just didn't like his acting in it.
Yeah.
Well, there
I
are
did
two
think-
Wahlburgers in the Pittsburgh area that you can visit if you decide you really
Yeah.
are a
Really?
fan of Mark Wahlberg. There's
Yep.
one in Robinson. There's one in Northway.
Yeah.
Yep, we've been in the Northway one many times.
I've been to the one in Boston. I think the original one.
Cool.
That's right.
I
They have,
thought it was
good,
really good.
they have good vibrations there.
They do.
They do. It's such a good
The only
vibe.
downside is the walls are plastered with Mark Wahlberg movie posters.
Oh, jeez.
Yes, at least the one in Northway, the block. It is all covered with Mark Wahlberg movie posters.
Wow.
All right, I have a question about this movie. So Jack Nicholson's in a restaurant at the beginning, and he's being disgusting to this 13-year-old girl.
Right.
Is she the girlfriend later? Like 40,
I don't think
30
so.
minutes later?
Uh-huh.
Are you sure?
Oh.
No, I'm not sure, but I don't think so.
Because I didn't
Also-
catch the name at the beginning because I was busy.
I don't think so. I think that was just he
I
runs
did
the
like-
town. He's a scumbag who runs not a scumbag. He's the guy who runs the town. He can treat anybody.
Well,
the way
you're,
he wants
are you
to.
afraid you're going to offend scumbags? Why did you pull back
I
on
want
that?
to be clear.
You don't want to alienate part of your potential audience.
I'm not Trump. I'm not going to sit here and say nice things about evil people because I'm afraid they won't vote for me.
I'm just saying. If I'm paying
Well-
hush money to somebody, I'm not paying them. Calling
But the thing that was, he collected the money. He complained to the guy he didn't have enough money,
Mhm.
and then he gives the kid all the stuff, and you think he's just saying, put that in the bag, put that in the bag. Then he pays for it.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's this good and bad of that scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who is this kid? Is he one of the kids who works for him now?
Yeah, that's
That's-
Colin.
I
Yeah,
don't
that's
know
Matt
names.
Damon's character.
Yeah,
Who's
that's Matt
whose
Damon.
character? Matt Damon's character. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Because
the
this
kid-
is how he first gets to sort of owe him,
Right.
and then eventually he sets him up and sponsors
Like,
him.
you
to go
want
to
to
the
get some work?
My mom thinks that is the girlfriend later.
Yeah, I think so too. Because
Oh,
she was pretty
wow.
young, and I was like, ugh,
Let's look at the trivia because that'll be in there.
yeah. Because that was one of the last parts I saw. She was leaving the apartment when he was talking to, I don't know, DiCaprio, maybe. I don't know. And she's like, see you later. I'm going to church. And she left and I went, oh my God, it's the girl. Ew.
Well, that you're paying much more attention than I am, apparently.
There's a lot of funny things here in the trivia, so I'll just go through a few of them. Mark Wahlberg easily fell back into his native accent. Martin Scorsese joked it was so thick they'd need subtitles.
Mhm.
And also, he wanted Al Pacino to play the role of Costello because he had never worked with Pacino before, but Al Pacino turned him down. So
Oh.
Jack Nicholson was the second choice.
And Nicholson was excellent.
He was fantastic in this movie.
He was pretty good.
When the film won the Oscar
He
for
was
Best Picture,
fantastic. He was excellent. He was pretty good.
Martin Scorsese said he was surprised the film had won. He said because the film is such a tough, nasty, and violent film, he never thought the idea of awards when he was filming it. That's probably why it won, because you don't think about that.
Well, The Godfather won. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's true. It's the first remake of a foreign film to win the Academy Award for Best Picture.
And it's
How about
really
that?
among the foreign remakes I can think of, because we've watched a couple of. We watched The Birdcage, for example, right? Earlier in this.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably the most successful I can think of. I mean, it really. No, I don't think I've seen Internal Affairs. I'm not sure, but I don't think I have. But it really is. I thought it was very well made.
Oh, this is interesting. Martin Scorsese wanted to film it in Boston, but the bulk of the movie was filmed in New York because New York has a 15% filmmaking tax credit. They shot in Boston for 3 weeks, and then 3 weeks in June and 3 more in August. After the success of the film, Massachusetts created a 25% tax credit for filmmaking.
They're like, man, we missed out.
Martin Sheen was one of the last actors cast. He only agreed to do it because he wanted to work with Martin Scorsese.
Well, there you go. Speaking of Departed, hold on, wait.
Speaking of Martin Scorsese.
Oh, wow. Look at you.
Speaking of directors that talk fast.
That's Scott?
Yes, it's Scott.
It's Scott. As a baby. He'll grow. Bring Scott back.
All right.
What? I see this as an absolute win.
It's Scott as a baby. Just could be Benjamin Button all over again.
F. Scott as a baby?
How
That is Scott as a baby.
are
He came out with a beard.
you?
Oh, are you buffering?
I'm slowing down so you guys understand me.
Oh, you don't really talk that fast.
No, I don't. Yeah.
We
So
need
Scott's
Hello,
very busy.
wonderful
I know
people.
Scott's a busy guy right now. I'm surprised he even had time to pop in.
We're honored. We're honored.
I am popping in so I can get my one day on the wheel in.
That's right.
See, he knew. I guess he knew the rules.
See?
Yeah, I follow rules.
You do. He got credit for all things.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, I have a theme of eating things on this show. I had a really cool thought that I would get like a giant Costco dog and say, "See anything you like," but I decided to spare us all the imagery of what The Departed had. No, I absolutely love this movie. To me, this is like the Scorsese comeback. He no pun intended. He came from, his sort of 80s run, and then we got and he had Cape Fear, and he sort of had like this really dry period. And then finally we got The Departed, and we saw once again that, yes, Leonardo DiCaprio can act. The Aviator was not a one-off. He actually is one of those guys. And what a freaking cast, too.
Right?
Holy mackerel.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Plus, it was the first movie I think my brother saw before he moved to Boston, so he had to know what he was in for. No, I freaking love this movie. Great stuff.
For me, this movie is not as equal to the sum of its parts. I feel like this is a stew made with all of the best ingredients. It didn't cook right for me. Like, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fine movie, but I feel like it suffers from the length, I think, a little bit, because it is a very long movie again. And I feel like duh, Jack Nicholson's a good actor. No crap. I get it.
Well, they expanded the role once he signed on too.
But it's a one note male dominated movie.
Yeah.
Right? That it's like, if you don't like this kind of movie, there's
unlike the Virgin Suicides, right? I mean, it's not like we haven't watched female dominated movies before.
Well, we'll get to Captain Marvel in a bit, but what I'm saying is,
well, now I'm going back and seeing what else got nominated. So it was like Babel. Oh, Letters from Iwo Jima. Okay.
For me, I wanted there to be more storytelling in this that wasn't as predictable as this movie just felt like it was going.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Fair enough.
There are two phone numbers used in the film. Billy's phone number is 617-869-1469, which is actually a real Boston number. And if you call it, you get a generic voicemail box, which is currently full. The other number, 311-555-2368, not a real number. That's what telephone companies use in their publications as their demo number.
867.
It's like a 555 number.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 555s.
So, did you guys know that? I'm not sure if you knew this, but Jack Nicholson is a huge Lakers fan, and he's very particular about the sports teams that he supports. I know we've already covered this story, but he straight up refused to wear a Boston Red Sox cap or anything Boston related.
He wore New York instead.
He wore Irish shirt.
Yeah, and he wore a Yankees cap at his behest.
I'll go.
Wow.
Because if he had worn anything from Boston, it would have been all over the internet all the time. Memes, all kinds of stuff. Before they were even a thing.
But I will say his wardrobe throughout this movie. His wardrobe throughout this movie is spectacular.
I love
a lot of leopard print.
Like, I feel like I'm like, did he get to keep his wardrobe after this was over? Because all of this feels like Jack Nicholson, whether he brought his own clothes with him or not.
Can I get a few extra dollars for wearing my own freaking clothes? I mean, yeah, and he also the F word, by the way, and its derivatives. So not just F, but mother effer and all the F. 238 times in this movie.
Oh, jeez.
We should have done the over-under.
Look at this suit. I mean, come on.
He's the Joker.
Purple
He's dressed
suit.
as the Joker.
Oh, man.
I think that's Matlock's jacket.
What was his comment to Michael Keaton in Batman? Let the suit do the acting, kid.
Has anyone talked about the improv in that scene?
No.
Funny?
We had just gotten started before you jumped in.
Yeah, you missed Benjamin Button.
Yes, you did miss Benjamin Button.
Well, I think if I blinked, everyone would have missed Benjamin Button disappearing into a fetus. But I digress. Yeah. So does everyone know the story of Jack Nicholson in that particular scene? Leonardo DiCaprio did not know that he was going to have a gun pulled on him, and he legitimately thought that the gun was real when Jack did that. So the fear you see on his face when he's trying to convince him not to do something awful is pretty darn legit. To me, that is like one of the greatest
acting.
I saw Titanic, kid. You deserve this.
I remember you from Growing Pains. No, but there's also, I think the line, I saw something about it where early in the movie where they shoot two people on the beach and he shoots the woman, and then he goes, she fell funny. Like that was ad-libbed.
Yeah.
Because I think the extra who fell, instead of falling straight, she like landed on top of the guy.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, I just watched that.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Wasn't the line from The Godfather, leave the gun, take the cannoli ad-libbed?
Uh-huh. Take the cannoli was ad-libbed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's a couple lines like that in there. Like there wasn't supposed to be a cat on set. He just picked it up and it became part of his character.
Yes. To me, this movie works. I get what you're saying, Eric.
Yeah.
I didn't feel that way, though. I felt that this movie gelled perfectly. I'm not saying it was a perfect movie by any means, but it gelled perfectly. The roles worked for the casting. They had the right people in the right roles.
But he had access to anybody in the world. So, I mean, at that point, he could have asked,
He didn't have access to Al Pacino.
Well, this is true.
If he had genuinely said this was an homage to G-Men, I would have believed him.
And from what I've read, the script is very different, but the basic flow of the movie is very similar to Internal Affairs that it was based on. I mean, from the throwing the guy from the building to the elevator shoots to just so much of it was taken directly from the original Hong Kong film. There were some differences. There were two female characters in Internal Affairs that they combined into one in this. And the ending with Marky Mark was added.
Honestly, this was on my list of movies when I was thinking about doing my compare double featurette, which would be the Hong Kong film in this.
Yeah.
So I just looked up a list of the most F words ever in a movie. Now there are two movies that have the number 1 and 2 spot. SwearNet the movie is 935, and then F, the F word, the documentary on the word. So this is a movie about the word. Has 857.
Apparently, wait, did you guys know that that's supposed? I don't know if this is true, but somebody just taught me this. I learned this on Friday. It's an acronym.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
For uncarnal, what is it?
Fornicating under the consent of the king.
Yes.
But I don't think it's true.
Yes, it isn't the
but
Van
I've heard
Halen
that.
album, Dan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, today it means
I don't think it's
fornicating.
true.
Under the Karen.
I thought it was if you see Kay, tell her I love her.
Yeah, I
Isn't that a
used
song?
to tell her that.
Thank you, Brittany.
She'd get mad at me.
I didn't know that.
Funny anecdote. We were looking at the TiVo a week or two ago, saying, "Why did I keep this? Why did I keep this news episode on my TiVo?" And so I'm looking. What I saw where I paused it, and it was because there was a local Pittsburgh reporter who was doing a story. This was in the middle of COVID, and she's doing this thing about nurses, and she go, and on the screen they put, you call 1-800-nurses for you. And she misspoke. She goes, so you call 1-800-nurses-FU. And I just laughed.
But the interesting thing, though, here's the number 3 movie is another Leonardo DiCaprio movie with 569 F words and
Romeo and Juliet.
And 100 yes, Romeo and F and Juliet.
It's Romeo.
I believe
Was it
it.
Wolf of Wall Street?
It is Wolf of Wall Street. It's it's a 3-hour movie.
Next week's movie.
And the yacht in this movie is the same yacht from that movie.
That's funny.
There you go. There's my wacky facts without coming up with wacky facts.
Sell me this F word.
Which was also the tugboat in the other movie.
It could have been.
Mm-hmm. And it was just a boat in the Starsky and Hutch movie.
Casino had 422, by the way.
Woo!
There's Kay. Sorry.
Is that from prom?
No, that's her wedding.
Oh. Well, if you see Kay, tell her I said hello.
I tell her that all the time and she'd get mad at me.
Guys. Wow.
I will spare you wrestling facts about the F word, Dan, and everybody else.
Oh, yes. We don't need another WWF version.
Someone was making a comment that most directors are lucky to make one great movie in their lifetime. Scorsese makes one per decade. And they say, there's Taxi Driver, there's Raging Bull in the 80s, there's Goodfellas in the 90s, and then he kept it going with The Departed in the aughts.
The aughts. And then what about The Irishman?
Wow, yeah, he was barely safe in the 90s, 1990 for Goodfellas. Well, no, his 2020 movie is going to be Killers of the Flower Moon.
Oh, it's his new one.
Yeah.
I haven't seen The Irishman yet.
We talk about a long movie.
Yeah.
That's a mini series.
Yeah.
That's a double feature.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be funny if I suggested Hateful Eight, the miniseries version.
So I do have Adam's score handy here for this movie.
Okie dokie.
We can play the over-under on that if you guys want to play the game.
Sure. Might as
And we have to wait. My mom will put in her score.
Yeah.
Since this was her movie, she'll start the scoring.
What's the cat score?
As she should appropriately.
Yeah, so score away, mother. Score away.
When it is time, I'll share quickly. When it's time to pick next week's movie, Dave has 1/4 of the wheel,
which means the odds are still against me because
Dave has 43 spots
against the field. I'm still in a negative here. So,
which I just love so much. I just think it's
awesome. Oh my god. It's like one of those things.
The Irishman, the Irishman, the Irishman. The Irishman.
Is Leo gonna win an Oscar? Is Leo gonna win an Oscar?
Yeah, so I think it's likely that Stacy will get chosen again. I'm kidding.
I'm already set. I know which one I want to do.
Yeah, start thinking ahead of time. That's always good. Now, I guess we can start scoring. My mom can pop hers in.
Yes.
While we're scoring. But I will not do Adams first.
Okay.
Oh, no.
But we'll start with Dave.
Dave.
Hey, Babu.
Sing.
Well, first of all, I have to say, I like gangster movies. You know, whether it's
and I cannot lie,
Godfather, whether it's White Heat, going back to the old Cagney and Edward G. Robinson movies,
yeah,
in the 30s. those always work for me. When they're well done, of course, they can be done really badly. So, Godfather's a great movie. Goodfellas, while I don't rate it as highly as some people do, is an excellent movie. So this one works. It has its flaws. There were just a few weird little logical flaws that don't kill it for me, but just make me scratch my head. Like, notice when Colin picks up the dead Quinn, what was the guy's name? Quellen, something like that.
Quintuplet.
Picks up his phone and brushes his finger across it to bring up the blood's still wet. How long later? I mean, that was just a little weird thing that I just think they wanted a cinematic moment of the smeared blood and didn't worry about the reality of it. Another thing that's interesting is the time frame is a little vague in this, in the sense that you don't really know how long Billy was undercover. He mentions at one point, it's been a long year, I won out, kind of thing. So you get the idea it was maybe about a year and a half. In the original Hong Kong film, he was undercover 10 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's just an interesting bit of trivia there.
There's much more of a Godfather Part 3 in a way, that ending.
Yeah. It's I don't think I've seen Internal Affairs. I'm just scratching my head. I don't think I have.
It's really good.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. But to me, it just gels. There's things I can criticize about it. It was probably longer than it needed to be, but I didn't think it was too long. It was within the range of what it could support. It could have been 15 minutes shorter and been fine, but I think it still supported that extra 15 minutes well enough. I don't think there was pad. I don't think there were a lot of times where I was going, they didn't need this scene. So I give it credit for that. And ultimately, it comes in at a 91.
Wow, yeah.
91.
It's pretty high.
I didn't finish this. I didn't have much time. I'm staring at it right now. It was 40 minutes in, so I don't have time. I didn't have time.
If you decide during the week you want to throw it in, you can throw it in the score.
That's
All
right. Let us know.
I was just going to say the same thing. Skip me. I also didn't finish it, but if I can finish it this week, I will.
Okay, that was an
Scott's giving it a 0.
Thank you.
Oh man, another 0. You're not allowed to give us
Sounds at rocks. Oi. I don't know. We're doing acronyms earlier. Abbreviations earlier.
Well, Scott, wait. This just in. Excellent acting, but extremely violent, and of course the language. So it does deserve a high score. 90.
Right. Exactly.
From my mom. Thank you, Mom.
That's an F and 90.
Every 20 F-bombs, she added a point.
Yeah.
Now, Scott, FML, FYI?
Yes. I think that's the old thing from when we were reviewing Pitch Perfect.
Oh.
For good reason. Yeah, I think one of the greatest things this movie did was that it internalized the same style of the original movie, Internal Affairs, and actually still made it kind of its own. It focused much more on the editing rather than the cinematography, in my personal opinion. I'm also kind of the same house as David. I always say that the only thing more American than an actor is a gangster. And the gangster film is just something that prevails. Every 10 years, we get something really great, and usually comes from Scorsese. So
yeah, it's right up there with Westerns in the classic American cinema.
Right, exactly. We feel more attuned with the gangsters because they don't have as many racism problems generally. Yeah,
there was no racism in this movie.
No, none whatsoever. No one said a single word. No, I thought even if everything else about it was terrible, like the shooting, the editing, which is definitely not, it's amazing. It really is about the performances. And taking such a baby face like Matt Damon and a baby face like Leonardo DiCaprio and turning them into little shits, like, bravo. Like, at the end of the day, who was worse between those top three, Jack, Leo, and Matt? Just, it's so much fun to watch. And yeah, it was fun revisiting this one. So I'll tell you the score I gave Dan when he called me. I gave it 87 Jack Nicholson prosthetics. Because I want to believe it's a prosthetic, please.
All right. There's a hot dog for you.
Woo!
That's an 87. Is that what I got?
87 is what he's giving it.
Oh, nice.
Again, all-star cast, 2 movies in a row. This one was actually produced by Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
So
He
we had
opted
double.
the original.
It was a Brad Pitt.
It was a pit sandwich.
Yeah, it's a Brad Pitt double feature this evening without him being in one of them. He could have been in this movie, though. I think he would have played one of the parts really well. Probably the Marky Mark part. That would have been interesting. I think.
But who would have played the Funky Bunch?
Well, obviously, that would have been Al Pacino if he would have been in it, because he does, the Al Pacino Dunkin' Donuts commercial. How much money did they spend on that? Anyway,
Hoo-ha!
hoo-ah. Brittany, by the way, in the comments is putting in some zero acronyms. Zebras eat random objects. And Zumba event rescheduled, obviously. But I think this is also an A movie. So I have to give it. I give the last movie a 91. I think I'm going to give them both 91s tonight. Feeling very 91-ish.
You with the 91s.
Wow. I have Adam's score.
Ooh.
Anybody want to guess? Want to guess the over under?
We didn't get any
45.
comments really from Adam on this, so we're going blind.
Yeah.
True.
But I'm gonna think Adam liked this. I'm gonna say that Adam I really liked it. I would think
57.
I think he's higher than his last movie.
Yeah.
I think it's higher than Ben.
76.
All right. Brittany?
John Bones,
I said 57.
I said
Stacey?
45.
I'm gonna say 47.
All right. Scott, you said 45. Dave?
60.
Brittany on the nose, 57.
Wow.
What do I win?
You win nothing.
Free cred.
0. Zip.
You get nothing.
Good day, sir.
You know what you do get?
You lose.
You get Eric's score is what you get.
Black and white.
Awesome.
Let's go to our best Gene Wilder.
Nobody's gonna like either. It's no Johnny Dangerously. Let's be honest. I mean,
There are some similarities.
given the choice, I'm watching Johnny Dangerously.
I kept thinking that the name Johnny Sullivan, I was like, wait a minute, wasn't that Johnny's real name?
Come
No,
on,
Johnny
Johnny.
Kelly.
But how many times did they use the word Fargan in Johnny Dangerously?
This is what
That's
I'm
true.
saying.
You
right?
farting ice
Would
hole.
have been such a better movie
You bastages.
and used.
Bastages. Oh my God.
I remember watching this years ago and liking it a lot more than I did this time. This time I just found it just to be so obvious and transparent and not. I wasn't overly engaged. At the end of the day, it's like, yeah, whatever, I think if you like this style of movie, obviously this is a very well done movie. Obviously, if you're a fan of any of these actors, they give great performances. But I think these are actors that almost always give great performances. So that's not a surprise for me about this movie. I'm better than Adam. I ended up at a 72.
72.
The Departed.
Not a horrible score.
No, not a horrible score at all.
Not great, but not horrible.
But controversial.
I don't know if there's controversy. Anybody else in the comments? If you have a score, you can throw it in there now. And if anybody like Brittany or Stacey decide to finish the movie,
I'm
they
gonna
can throw in
finish
their
it.
score later.
That's right. You could change the destiny for this movie on our movie rankings go, because currently, as things sit, if nobody provides scores that were to change the things, Benjamin Button coming in with an 82.56, beating out the Terminal and not quite beating out the Birdcage. And The Departed coming down here being beaten
Oh
out
my
by
God.
Silver Lining Playbook.
Ooh.
Which just makes
Why
me
is that so
At least
funny?
it beats School of Rock.
81 Brit Boy
Lawrence!
School of Rock. Tied with School of Rock, but not quite beating out Silver Linings. And Rebecca did not watch this one.
So
So
Rebecca did not watch this one.
there we go. So there we go. I think that's all the movie talk for this week outside of
And we made it in exactly an hour. Look at that.
perfectly done. And so now we can go to the Wheel of Dave and find out who else gets to pick a movie.
You should make a graphic at this point.
You never know.
Dave!
Oh my
I feel like
goodness. Here we
I like
go.
Susan Lucci, you know?
Which color's Dave?
It's been randomized. It is ready for your picking pleasure. Who else besides Dave we'll get to choose next week's movie. Let's find out.
Everybody hates
Here we go.
Dave.
Here we go. Oh my goodness. It's
Dave,
going.
Dave.
Not very good. Oh, there we go.
43 options.
The wheel is going to be so empty.
I'm so proud of you, Dave.
Yeah,
Almost a year
Such a
since
big
you've been
moment
picked.
for you, Dave.
delete his names and then show us the wheel.
It's been 43 weeks since Dave has
Was it
gotten-
really?
Well, it's been probably more than that, actually.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
It's been a long time since you've
Because we're
gotten
not on TV, are we?
If you remove them all, it's probably going to be much easier to read. That right?
Well, it'll take it down from 140 to 90 choices at least. Whatever.
All right. That means I have a choice to make, huh?
Yeah, I was gonna say, are you lightening the mood for next week?
I am definitely lightening the mood. The question is, in what direction?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was reviewing my list earlier today of what I would choose if my name came
Don't
up.
tell
and was-
Rwanda.
Definitely felt lighter was appropriate.
Austin Powers 3.
Oh,
Coming
God.
back.
Listen to the
Okay.
groans.
Harry Potter 4.
We already did that, didn't we?
Yeah.
Harry
It was
Potter
Goblet of
5.
Fire.
5. I think we're up to 5.
I don't
No
remember
Harry
Goblet of
Potter.
Fire.
No.
Let me see what's. I have to see where stuff is streaming too. So
This is true. What do you want us to
The Super Mario Brothers
we can-
movie.
We could give you a
1992.
moment and we could discuss other things while you think about well, we don't want to pressure you into coming up with a quick choice. So let's jump to this thing. All right. So anybody watching anything else? Obviously, I'm sure everybody's watching Dairy Girls
Or Dairy Girls.
or Dairy.
Is
Or
that
the
what we picked?
The non-fat Dairy Girls.
What
No, I wish
Oh,
that I had Gary's girl.
I finally saw Deep Impact. And here's the
Oh,
thing. I started the movie after
wow.
the guy had the car crash. And so I was like, oh, this is actually a really interesting thriller setup. Like, okay, you have the guy from Babe, and he's obviously done something awful. And it's directed by a woman. Let's see. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Why is Morgan Freeman the president? Why haven't I heard of this movie?
I
And then
started watching the movie in 1998, and then I just
Yeah.
haven't had a chance to finish it yet.
This movie came out like the same within a few weeks of Armageddon. And
Right.
it's like the same
yes,
movie.
they came up very close together.
And it
Yeah.
got a higher rating than Armageddon. It's directed by Mimi Leader, who is like this big VFX
Yeah.
person, especially for TV. She's won like a couple Emmys and a Golden Globe, I think.
But no era.
But yeah,
no.
aside from this, she's known for doing like rom-coms. Like I think it's like The Meaning of Sex or something. The movie that came out on Netflix in 2018.
Speaking of Deep Impact,
Oh
And
my God.
Oh.
again with the fart,
I keep thinking,
he has one sound effect.
Oh, shoot.
But it's
Scott
so
keeps thinking this is real.
I am.
Well, it's a real. It's an actual EriDan fart from.
Oh, that's for real. Yeah,
Did
absolutely.
he pull it?
Absolutely.
Oh my god. Okay, you coughing after the fart was a little too perfect.
What movies have the most fart noises in them?
I know what Dave's picked: Blazing Saddles.
No, if I were going to pick a we've already done Young Frankenstein, right?
Yeah.
And we've done Spaceballs. We've done 2 Mel Brooks. I do the producers if I was going to do another Mel Brooks, but I'm not.
Mary Poppins.
43 weeks in the making, Dave. Don't let us down.
I think I got it, and I'm not. I know not everybody's going to be happy with it, but I definitely got to lighten the mood. And it's on Amazon Prime.
Oh boy.
Good.
Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Oh, I love this movie.
Didn't we do that movie?
No.
Nope.
I just watched this on my own though recently.
Oh, there you go.
I did. So
I just want it for the full male frontal nudity. That's all.
Oh God, really?
Very brief. And it actually is a true story, the scene that it depicts. So.
You didn't like the full frontal nudity. Oh wait, I saw your score for Departed. Never mind.
here we are. Yeah, streaming on Prime Video, and of course available for.
It is that extremely rare thing, a role that I can stand Russell Brand in.
Russell Brand is like he was made for this role.
It's the only movie I've ever seen him in that I actually enjoy him in because he's really grating, but it works in this role.
My mom watched A Man Called Otto.
Oh.
She had read the book, and she just found out it was filmed in Ambridge.
We saw it in the theater.
I want to watch that. I heard it was good.
Yeah, I've heard good things too.
I
I
enjoyed it.
didn't see the movie. I like the book. So
We've been watching.
I've seen the
Tom
Pixar
Hanks.
version too.
There's a Pixar
Called Up.
version? Oh, Up is the same.
Yes.
yeah, you're right. Yeah, it has. Yeah, it's kind of close to it.
We've been watching The Last of Us.
Ah.
Richard finally played through both games. We've had people telling us to watch it, and he hadn't played either game. So he played through both, and now we're watching it.
I highly recommend that. Even if you're not into zombie stuff, it's
It's pretty good. We're about halfway through the season
yeah,
right now.
that's excellent.
Well, at least I made Eric happy.
I do enjoy a good zombie. You know, I don't know if I'd recommend. I don't know if I'd ever put the Resident Evil movies on here, but I do enjoy just some good violent shooting zombies in the head movies.
I, for the most part, can't stand zombie movies. The only one I'd probably put on, unless it was the original Night of the Living Dead, would be Shaun of the Dead.
I've never seen that one.
If you like zombie movies at all, you have to see Shaun of the Dead.
All right, I'll
Absolutely.
we'll do that.
And if you like pina coladas,
And get
Caught in the Rain.
caught in the rain. Yeah.
and if you're not into yoga, but you do like champagne,
Yeah.
well,
I'm not going to do the next line.
No, you
If you like listening to Eric's farts.
What?
So that was a topic I wanted to bring up, but we don't do shows like this anymore. Was songs that don't have the title anywhere in the song.
That is an interesting topic.
Mhm.
We used to do such stuff.
He goes, "What about parentheses titles? Like Escape, the Pina Colada song. That one makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Or it's just like they're just
Well, let's talk about. We could talk instead about movies that mention their own title in the movie.
that's
Wow.
always fun.
That is a good one.
Back
Yeah.
to the Future.
You know, like The Departed. Actually,
Spaceballs.
That was funny when he said that. Departed. Oh. I'm
How
not.
about
Biodome.
like, this is a curious case of Benjamin Button. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, this is the curious case of Benjamin Button.
Button. Oh, who owns this briefcase? Well, this curious case, I believe, belongs to Benjamin Button.
The man in the big yellow hat said, "George, we have to find Benjamin Button."
We're gonna
I
send
know-
you back.
Other things we watched today. Anybody watch the new Apple product review? The reveal?
Not yet, but it's on my.
I
list.
would run screaming from the room if that were on.
It's a
It's a
a
VR
headset.
headset. It's yet another VR headset.
but
a
it's Apple, which means
$3,500 AR headset.
Yes, AR. Excuse me. Which just
It
means
won't be
it's heavier
available
and
till early
battery
next
doesn't last
year.
as long.
Yeah, which means late next year because
it's Apple.
it's Apple. If they're not saying till next year, they're giving themselves a lot of lead time to hurry up and make sure it has some of the features that they promised it would have.
We did watch the first episode. That's as far as we've gotten though, of Jury Duty. If you've heard of that show,
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it
I've
yet.
heard of it, not seen it. Yeah,
it's an interesting concept. It's one of these shows where they pretend they're filming a documentary about jury duty, and everyone in it is an actor or an improvisational actor, except for one guy who thinks he's really on jury duty.
oh gee,
So the judge is an actor. They're all act. Yeah, everybody's acting.
That sounds fun.
But there was the lead actor in it, whose name I cannot recall at the moment. Is it Marston? He was on one of the talk shows talking about how he and the interviewer goes, "How did you keep this guy from getting suspicious?" And he had, "Well, we would try to be watching carefully. If we thought he had any inkling of being suspicious, he would take us aside and go, okay, it's time to pay the bill." And he said they would then like have 5 hours of utterly boring, really realistic jury duty just to squash the idea that this could actually be fake.
Oh. Okay, that's
But
good.
the first episode was fun, but I have to wait and see how it goes.
Wow.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, no, that sounds terrible to me.
It does terrible.
That just sounds excruciating. Again, I don't like movies where you're setting things up or shows where you're setting things up and just waiting for them to play out.
But they're not being mean to the guy. I mean, this isn't the case of, the guy's being
Like
regular,
punked, where he's really
he's just
thinking
got
something's
weird
wrong.
things happening around him. It's like, is it always like this kind of thing?
Oh my.
All right.
Well, I'll say we went and saw the new Spider-Man movie yesterday.
I heard it was really good.
And that's all I'm going to say is that it's really good. And that if you enjoyed Spider-Man Into the Universe, you'll enjoy Across the Universe.
So it's the next movie arriving at the Spider-Verse? Or?
Next movie is Beyond the Spider-Verse. But that's true. That's actually true.
It's Mad Max Beyond the Spider-Verse.
I will say though, they did release that some of the theaters aren't paying attention to the settings for audio that they're supposed to be setting things, which can make the dialogue in the first part of the movie a little hard to understand. Not to the point where it's not enjoyable, but that was our experience where it was like, you really got to focus to get everything that's being said. And that cleaned itself up after the first half an hour. But they said, I read and there's a press release about the fact that, we have sent this out. We have sent it out again to remind theaters of what the settings that they're supposed to use for the audio to get the mix right. So hopefully you'll have a better experience than I did. But it was still, even with that, it was a good time. It was the first time my kids enjoyed a Marvel movie since Endgame.
Wow. Geez.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a hard set, but I digress.
And they would, and it like
Marvel
to point
TV
out,
shows count as movies.
Oh, no. Absolutely. And they'd also would be like me to point out that it's a Sony movie. So it doesn't even count as a Marvel movie since it's realistically.
That is true.
That's true. Yeah.
So take that. But that is definitely worth going to go see at the theater. And it's like top third animated movie of all time, I guess, at this point already, or opening weekend, I believe.
Wow.
Time, but top third, the third biggest opening for an animated movie, I believe. It's doing okay. They're making some money. If you're worried about,
that's good because they were in trouble. Oh, Sony's struggling.
He's definitely been having some trouble lately. So,
well, yeah, I mean, 120 is a lot of money.
So, what does the wheel look like without me on it?
Okay, hold on.
I told you I want to see it.
Well, it's not going to be that impressive.
The wheel is gone. There's just now one slice with Eric written on it.
That's right, exactly. Hold on, I gotta bring it back.
Yeah. Sorry to put you out, man.
Delete all the names off the wheel.
Well, if you would have already done that,
back on the wheel. And
I said it before.
The wheel looks different based on who's all with us. Right, but here, this is
how would tonight's have looked without me?
All right, let's see. This is how.
How will next week's look without him?
You don't know who will be here. So.
Well, that's the thing. I don't know who's going to be here.
Well, okay, but.
And people will get more. It would look something.
It look a little something like this.
It would look a little something like this. There you go. You can actually read the names.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Right. So
who has the most now?
That's a great question. I have quite a few actually.
Yeah, I don't remember you picking one recently.
It's been a while. Dan's mom has a lot for a single movie choice.
She could have picked The Irishman.
She just picked.
No, it's double feature.
Yeah, I know.
That was
as soon as I was thinking that, I was like, yeah, that's
I think it's Dan's mom for a single.
See, I don't know that we should have different wheels for different. I mean, the double feature or the regular should be the same pick. If it's your week to pick, you get to pick a double feature. You get to pick a movie.
But I thought that was because we hadn't had. It had been very uneven.
Because the problem is we don't let you pick two double features, but we, so the regularity with how that would work would be
Okay, well, I'll bring it up at the board meeting.
You can
Yeah.
bring it up with the board and get shot down. That's fine. If I have to
Yeah, it's like
explain how this works to you,
It's like the UN Security Council. Any one member of the board can veto everything. So Eric's just going to stonewall
I
you.
was to say no, it's not going to work. No, because the problem is we work on two different cycles for the double feature versus the right.
And then we'll have to figure out what we're doing about TV shows.
Yes, yeah,
But we have a while for that.
I do think the consensus.
Technically, we
from
don't
the
have a
Dairy
while because we
Girls-
should be picking that, right?
It's already picked.
No, we picked that. It's the Dairy Girls.
Oh, duh.
So we picked that during the actual TV review show
Last week, yeah, and I missed it.
show, for the next month, and it's the Dairy Girls. And I believe Stacy and Wade were like, just start from the beginning and see how far you can get.
Okay.
Pretty much, yeah. It's
What's
like
it-
19 episodes on Netflix.
On Netflix. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, what's it streaming on?
I
I
do
thought it was
actually, yeah, Dan, I do have a conversation for you about the TV show, so I have an idea how to make this.
All right, we can discuss it.
Do
Yeah.
you have any episodes to recommend, or are you just recommending people watch them in order and stop when they run out of time?
You can watch it in whatever order. The first one sets it up so you know who everybody is, but after that, there's really no order because we don't necessarily know Irish history from the 80s, so it wouldn't matter because they're not all about that anyway, but they're all hilarious in their own way. So start with the first one and then you can do whatever you want.
Okay.
But again, there are only 19, and if you decide watch one every day for 3 weeks, you've got
right. You
it.
finish it. Yeah.
Watch one every day.
Watch one every day.
They're 20 minutes long. They're 20
Yeah, that's not.
minutes.
If they're only 20 minutes, I think that's another thing to consider is like the number of episodes that you can pick should probably be based on
You
how
get,
like
you get 6 hours. You
yeah,
get
right.
6
Like
hours
if
to introduce-
yeah.
Oh, we're talking about this. Sorry, I was gone.
But now Cody's chiming in.
All right.
That's
Well,
only 20 minutes. Oh, yes. We're talking about TV shows.
6 hours of Bluey is an entire season.
We will have an announcement officially about the TV show.
50 episodes,
time to
52
pick a new
episodes.
TV show.
I did the math earlier.
How about that?
fantastic.
So there you go.
My TV show is the Geico
Ooh,
Caveman
watch the
commercials.
Granny.
And if you skip the intro and the credits, you might actually be able to get like a season and a half.
And you just watch the Granny ones. You watch the Granny episodes, and you're golden.
Yep.
Janet and Rita.
That's all you need to know.
I think Cody's the only person I know who actually uses LOLs in his messaging.
Yeah, well.
LOL? I know people use LOL.
LLZ.
No, LOLZ. LOLs.
Oh, with the Z. Sorry.
Absolutely. Is that a name brand?
LOLs. Make sure you ask for it by name.
Exactly. So yeah. So next week, forgetting Sarah Marshall.
I've never seen that one.
Have you
Don't
not seen
forget
this
it.
movie?
You
Have
kept forgetting about it.
Yep.
Mhm.
people seen this?
Also,
movie?
I don't have Prime, so I'm gonna have to rent
I
it
do believe Adam is not a fan
Library.
or go to the library.
of Jason Segel, as I recall.
Ah.
But the other movie I was thinking of picking was Stranger Than Fiction, and you know he's not a fan of Will Ferrell, so I wasn't going to win with Adam either
You
way.
weren't going to win with Adam either way.
No. Stranger Than Fiction, I looked forward to seeing, and then because Emma Thompson's in that one, and I don't remember being blown away by it at any. We were just like, huh? So I'd have to watch that one again for sure.
But for me, Marshall, you get Jason Segel, you get
Mila Kunis?
Nina Kunis, you get Kristen Bell.
Isn't that the
Bell?
one that has Ant-Man as a drug addict? I think it was something else.
I think he does have a small role. I think Paul Rudd does have a small role.
Yeah.
Well, Paul Rudd's in it. It's a 98 for me.
Well, I just put that down.
It's a pretty
Wow.
small role, but he's in it, as I recall.
I'm just kidding. I like
And
it.
make sure you watch to the end, because some of the funniest stuff is at the very, very end.
It's a rom-com. I mean, come on.
Adam will hate it.
How can
Yeah,
you go wrong with a good classic rom-com?
All right.
All right. Well, I think there's a big lulls right there.
Oh,
So we can take advantage of that and say goodnight. Forgetting Sarah Marshall, Dairy Girls, get to watching. Whoa, look at that high school graduate right there.
So happy.
All right,
There it is. All right.
I was waiting.
No, I don't want to
Eric would have
disappoint
picked Courtney
I
if
don't
his
want to
name had come up.
disappoint anybody.
Welcome to the real world.
Yeah, exactly.
Want to know what your diploma's worth? There we go.
There you go. Exactly, right? Here
You know what it means compared to a crop
It's a zonk. Oh,
Oh, a zonk. We should watch the Gong Show.
Next,
no, that's no.
I know that's
I'm
different.
not putting prices
Chuck
right.
Barris.
You have to
Well,
watch
Chuck
episode-
Barris or Mike Myers, depending which area you're watching.
It would be interesting to do a game show discussion. 6 episodes of a game show.
Pick,
Oh,
pick the,
Lord.
like 6 classic episodes of a game show. Yeah.
6 hours of your favorite game
Of the
show.
match game, 73.
There you
No.
go. See?
Dun, 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 dun,
You can
dun,
find
dun, dun,
any
dun,
place that's streaming classic episodes of Card Sharks.
Oh my gosh. I probably have some on tape.
Higher or lower? We're the,
The
Oh,
password
my
is
gosh.
banana.
oh. All right. Well,
rules
get
are
to watching. And you have 1 week if you're going to hop on the departed train. Get on that train before it departs, and we'll look for your scores throughout the week. If not, or they're going to leave where they are, and we'll see you all next week. Good night. Don't forget to
In case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.